go ahead and remove the lug nuts and then remove the wheel. Our particular wheel has custom lug nuts, so we're going to use our locking tool to remove these here. Once the lug nuts are removed, go ahead and grab the wheel, set it aside. Using a 12mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove the caliper bolt on the bottom here, and then one up top. Go ahead and use a pry tool. We're going to go ahead and work our brake caliper up and off. Once that's loose, you want to go ahead and use a hanger to go ahead and support the caliper up and out of the way. Just hang that on the coil spring. You don't want to have any excess pressure or weight pulling on the flex line here. Next, go ahead and remove your brake pads. Go ahead and use a 15mm socket. We're going to remove the brake caliper bracket bolt here and then one up top. Remove the bracket, set that aside. So we did go ahead and soak down the hub flange area and inside the wheel studs with some rust penetrant to hopefully soak down inside and loosen the rust. Our brake rotor is stuck on here, so we're going to go ahead and loosen it with our persuasion tool. Go ahead and remove the brake rotor and set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and use a wire brush here to go ahead and clean the flange. Take down any scaly rust that might cause any problems with the new rotor fitting onto the hub flange. I want to make sure that that fits in there nice and easy and flush. You want to go ahead and take your brake caliper, use a pry tool, and go ahead and pop off your sliders right here, or shims. Next, you want to do an inspection of your sliders here. This is working in and out. This side here is stuck. Does not want to go in. It turns a little bit, but we definitely have an issue right here. So what you want to do is this rubber boot. You can peel back a little bit. Work that rubber boot back off of that. You want to grab a pair of pliers. And what you want to do is you want to pull the slider pin out of the caliper bracket itself. Pop that out. Set that aside. Then you go ahead and take that rubber boot. You pop that out like so. And we'll repeat for the other side. I'm going to take your wire brush and we're going to clean right where those metal tins were for your brake pads. Get any scaly rust, debris, anything like that that will be causing any fit issues. Clean it up really good. Go ahead and use some solvent. Clean that down and repeat for the other side. Let's now clean our slider pins. When you're doing this here, you want to do an inspection. Look for any rust buildup, anything that will be causing any issues. If they are rusty or have chunks or anything on there, probably a good idea to just replace these. Ours cleaned up very good, so we're going to be able to reuse those. You want to go ahead and inspect your boots for any tears or splits. Make sure there's no damage on these here. Just give them a quick little wipe down. If these have tears, rips, anything like that, that's going to allow for water and debris, sand and stuff to get inside and cause resistance issues. So make sure that those are good and solid. If those are damaged, get those replaced. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean the inside where these slider pins go. Just going to use a little bore brush right here. And what this will do is clean out any rusty debris, any chunks or old garbage that's stuck in there. Just clean off your bristle brush. You repeat for the other one. Now what we're going to do is take our rubber boots and get those reinstalled on our caliper bracket. I'm just going to work this in. You want to be careful not to puncture the rubber boot, so we're just going to use a tiny flathead screwdriver to work that boot in. And once this one is in, we'll repeat for the other side. Now I'm going to take our slider pin, apply some grease to it. Go ahead and work this in. You're just going to press it in. The boot will pop right onto the slider pin. I'm going to repeat the same for this one here. Here we go. Moving nice and easy. Right in these tracks right here, you want to go ahead and apply a thin coat of grease. I'll put grease here. Repeat for the other side and take your new shims here or sliders. Line that up. Go ahead and press that down into place. Repeat for the other side. Now what I want to do is take your brake caliper itself, locate your bleeder screw. We're going to use our 11mm wrench, loosen up this screw just a little bit. You should watch some brake fluid start to come out of that, which it does, and just snug that up slightly. Next, what you want to do, take one of the old brake pads, set that in there. So using the C-clamp here, we're going to go ahead and put some pressure on that brake pad, and our purpose here is to push the piston back into the caliper. Now once you get some tension on that, I'm going to go ahead and loosen that bleeder screw, and this is going to allow some brake fluid to come out and make this a little bit easier squeezing this together. You can see the piston going into the caliper itself until it's flush. Once it stops, you can remove the tool, brake pad, and tighten up that bleeder screw on the other side. Then you can rehang the caliper. I'm going to apply some anti-seize compound on the hub face itself. I'm going to go ahead and install our brake rotor. If it's on nice and smooth and flush, you want to make sure that this rotor isn't walking back and forth. Ours is on there nice and tight. And go ahead and slide our brake caliper bracket in. And get our bolts started here. Let's go ahead and torque down the caliper bracket bolts to 50 foot-pounds. Go ahead and take your new pads and get those installed. Get those into the tension strips here. Push it in. As we push it in, we rotate it inward. And get the other side installed. Remove your brake caliper. Put your caliper hanger aside. bring the caliper in. You can go ahead and slide your slider pins in. Install your bolts. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down our caliper bolts to 12 foot-pounds. At this point, you want to go ahead and hop into the vehicle, pump up the brakes a little bit, check your brake fluid level. If it seems low, go ahead and add a little bit to it. If everything looks good, go ahead and put your rubber cap on here if you have one for your brake bleeder. And go ahead and get your wheel installed. Go ahead and get your lug nuts started. Always start them by hand to prevent any cross-threading or jamming up of the threads. Let's go ahead and snug down the lug nuts. Now let's go ahead and torque down the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds.